Welcome, welcome you join Tottori's webinar this afternoon. I'm Ivy from Marketing, and our webinar topic is Power Up Your Investment Management Strategy with us. So welcome our two speakers today. The first one is our business partner from Alice's. Yeah, Max, the
Hi everyone,
director.
it's Max here.
Yeah, yes. And the second is our business solution consultant, Stephen Lam. He is our expert in Power Apps, Business Central's related area. Hi, Stephen.
Hello, everyone. This is Stephen.
So can you hear us now? Right. So for our webinar this afternoon, there will be two parts. One will be the presentations. The other will be the Q&A sections. So because we had already mute your voice, so in our Q&A section, would you please mark your questions on your right-hand side corner chat box or Q&A box? Our two super speakers will answer your questions immediately. Do you have any questions? Can you hear us now? Right. So if all of you can hear us clearly, and then let me pass the times to Max.
Okay, Ivy, thanks very much.
To
And
Stephen first.
Stephen,
I'm
right?
sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
So Stephen say he is the super speaker one. Yeah. So we let Stephen to speak it first, right?
Okay.
So Stephen, would you please help us to introduce?
Hello, everyone. This is Stephen from Tottori. I'm the business solution consultant from Tottori, and very welcome to join today's webinar. And to start today's webinar, I would like to have a quick overview of what Tottori is doing today and a high-level overview for your information. You can see my slides here. Tottori Asia today, you can see we growth in the past 20 years, and it's now the leading solution Microsoft Dynamics solution providers in the region. We have set up direct offices in 5 different countries in APAC region, and we are having more than 300 professional consultants these days and has been engaged with more than 1,000 clients. Our partnership with Microsoft keep growing as well. Nowadays, we established a partnership with Microsoft in 7 major domains, including ERP, CRM, cloud platform, analytics, as well as data center. And you can see Tottori these days are growing rapidly together with the Microsoft ecosystem, including the Dynamics 365 Enterprise solution, Office 365, and a lot of people are talking about the Power Platform these days, as well as the Common Data Service and Azure Cloud Services. And today we are really pleasure to invite our close partner, Alice's Financial Systems, and then Max, the Manager Director of Alice's, is going to introduce you how Alice's Financial Systems can help nowadays wealth management, asset managers, structured finance, as well as family offices. Max has over 20 years of experience in software industry and has including the past 10 years with Alice's. And Max has been the central player in the commercial development of Alice's products since the early inception. So I will pass the rest of the time to Max, and we will focus on today's topic, the Alice's Financial Systems.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Excellent. Thank you for the introduction, and it's very happy to be here today to discuss the topics of financial systems with the use of Microsoft platform. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now and start just introducing briefly the contents for today. So you should be able to see my screen now. So what we would like to cover today as part of this webinar is just to discuss the Microsoft Dynamics 365 platform. Maybe you've heard of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, which is the new generation of Microsoft ERP, what we call ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, or sometimes we say integrated system, integrated accounting package. And we want to see how we can use this platform, which is a standard platform, which is developed by Microsoft to fit the need of many different types of business. We want to see how this platform can be used for more like financial services. And when we say financial services, is how we can use this platform for wealth management, structured finance, and I'll touch a little bit about more like what we call treasury management systems. We want to see how that works, and hopefully today you'll have an understanding as to how we can provide a full, complete systems when it comes to specific to financial services. So in the first part, I'll be discussing Business Central just to explain what it is, and why we use Business Central. I'm going to go and show you a little bit about the standard functionalities such as accounting, cash management, payable, those kind of things. And then after that, we'll go into a bit more details on the investment management side, anything that we've added here at Elysis with regards to investment management, portfolio management with all the different types of assets, including treasury management, loans, deposits, all the different workflows, how we connect to banks and other institutions, how we work for our compliance and risk management. And then the last part, I'll touch a little bit about what we do in terms of reporting and analysis. Okay, so let's move on. First, why Microsoft Dynamics 365? Why Microsoft Dynamics 365 is a good platform for us? Basically because it's Microsoft, and Microsoft has been doing a lot of development on that platform for the last 20 years since Microsoft bought over, at the time, what was known as Navision. They've invested hundreds of year R&D into this product that became really now the world best known ERP platform. In a way, now it's suitable for the cloud, it's flexible, it's secured, and that's why more and more businesses, not just financial services, but many businesses are moving to this platform now. Because it's also part of Office 365 or the Microsoft stack. It makes it a very attractive platform. Microsoft has already done a lot of work in financial services, many different banks and then financial institutions, which already proves to us that this platform is suitable for financial services. And that's one of the reasons why that we also leverage that platform. The platform comes with a very sophisticated financial management modules. All the standard functionalities with regards to financial management is already very developed, is already very sophisticated. So therefore, it's just ready to use for us. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to reinvent building up a general ledger system or building up a banking system. It's already there out of the box from the package. So moving on, when it comes to Elysis, why Elysis is just that we've been using Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central for financial services for the last 14 years. Since we've became Microsoft partner, we started to work with family offices and then funds and then structured finance and treasury systems. So as such, we've added a lot of functionalities, and also we've got a great deal of experience with regards to more financial services specific requirements. That covers performance analytics. Anyone who works with investment would be interested into knowing their performance, so how they performed, how they performed against the risks, how they performed against the benchmarks. They will be willing to see how they comply. They'll be also, one of the first things is to be able to provide and to collect, to create all their statutory reporting, whether IFRS or Lux GAAP, UK GAAP, US GAAP. We've done a lot of work around that as well to make that platform suitable, be able to provide and to create all those statutory reports. And then I was mentioning earlier everything to do with treasury management. So that's also an area in which we've done a lot of work with regards to the management of many different type of assets, with regards to the management of all the different workflows. That's what I'm going to cover later on during this little demo. And then I also mentioned the structured finance part, which relates to like quite a big part in the financial service industry: loans, debt, credit, revolving credit. We've also done a lot of work around our loans management modules that we've developed over all those last 10 years. That makes it a very good platform for structured finance projects, structured finance systems. Okay, so moving on. I just want at this stage, I'm going to go straight into the solution, and I'm going to start to work my way with regards to the agenda. So showing you the financial management part, and then I'm going to move into the more investment specific part of the system. So this is what we get when we connect to the system. This is just a screen. This is like our home page when we connect. The home page is defined based on who we are, based on our profile that we can change quite easily by going into here, these little settings buttons. Before we do that, I just want to say it's web-based. I mean, there's no need to install clients, or you can just connect to the server through web page, and we access all the functionalities to the web page. So if we're going to start off by going into my settings, this is where basically we select which role center or which profile we want to use amongst the list of all the profiles that is available here in the system. And this is just an example of a list. Here we can see this is well back office, front office, mid office, but also a profile specific to accountants, to bookkeepers, to IT managers, president. And each of those profiles that can be very easily customized to add things to it or to make them more appropriate to the job. That's what we do when we set up the system. We define the right profiles and the right content that our users, the users wants to have when they first connect and to see through the homepage to be able to do their day-to-day jobs. Okay, the profiles defines what you see in terms of tiles and content. It also defines the menus and the sub-menu system that is going to be available. Because as you can imagine, this is a big platform, loads of many different modules which are used for many different type of purposes. So we don't want to show all the functionalities to the users when they first log in. We want to show them just what's suitable to the job. The next field here allows us to select which company that we want to work with. Because obviously it's a multi-company system. We can define as many companies as we want. There is no limited in terms of number of companies, and every company is per default completely segregated to one another. Okay, we could be managing companies listed in Hong Kong, denominated in Hong Kong dollars, as well as managing companies in Singapore, listed in Singaporean dollars, as well as companies everywhere in different jurisdictions, working with different accounting standards, with different base currency, with different fiscal year, and so forth. It's not a problem. And also the system allows us to consolidate at a holding level. If as part of the group we have a system where we've got a set of subsidiaries that consolidate into a holding company, then there's a consolidation module that allows us to do that. Also, there is an intercompany module which allows us to book intercompany trades or intercompany transactions, like intercompany purchase and sales, and also intercompany loans, for example. Moving on, we've got also here the choice to select the work date. If we want to work at a different work days, per default it defaults to today's date. And then the region, the language, and the time zone that is suitable for our use. And because it's Microsoft, it provides the system in many different languages and regions. There is also a notification system that we can set up as to how we want to receive the notifications here. So moving on, that's me back into my homepage. And at the moment, I'm connected to the system as if I was an investment back office manager, investment back office accountant. I'll be managing all my different companies, investment companies. I'll be managing all the inside those companies. I'll be managing all the different type of assets I've invested into, booking all my transactions, checking out all the positions, and then issuing all the reports, whether statutory report, management report, and also I'll be able to do some reporting and analysis with the use of Power BI. I'm going to show. Okay, so first part is with regards to the management, financial management. What we see here is the system comes with fully-fledged accounting module, which obviously start with chart of accounts. Okay, we can define the chart of accounts of our each companies, book any sort of entries we want into those chart of accounts using a set of general journals. The system also comes with budget, tax, consolidations, dimensions, everything you'd expect out of a traditional financial management systems. It's there, provided by Microsoft, and we just make use of it because it's there. The system also comes with all the bank module, very sophisticated bank modules in a way allows us to create all the bank accounts that we work with in all different currencies, and then manage all the transactions pertaining to those banks, whether manually through the set of journals or also electronically. The system allows us to work what we call electronic banking, starting from electronic bank reconciliations, electronic payments, electronic journals as well. There's a great deal of electronic banking that Microsoft's providing us with that we can use to set up all the different formats with the banks that we're working with, whether those type of SWIFT format or more like European, SEPA or UK BACS. We have a lot of tools in the system that we can leverage to set up all those payments, including electronic bank reconciliations, MT940, SWIFT format, all the different formats we can work with. Okay. I'm not going to go too much details at this stage, but just to introduce really quite high level. And then we've got obviously anything to do with payable and receivable to cover all the purchase sides of our business for the standard purchasing, the purchase of. I'm not into the investment management side yet, but I'm just about standard purchasing, purchase invoice, working with vendors, booking in the invoice, getting those invoices approved, 4 eyes approvals, 6 eyes approvals, and then creating all the payments and sending all those payments out to all our vendors. This is all standard. The system also provides a great deal more of additional functionalities around our purchasing, starting from purchase requisitions, purchase orders, purchase quotes. It's all part of that as well if we need to. And on the other side of that, we also have all the receivable parts, which basically evolves around managing our customers, issuing invoice, and so forth, all the sales part of the activity. Or again, that's standard, not really specific to investment to financial services, but standard across all type of businesses. So that's if you like, the base platform I wanted to introduce to get started. Because again, here we're leveraging what Microsoft is providing us with. as part of the standard Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central package. That means that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Companies like us, we can really concentrate on to now what's going to be our job is anything to do with investment management. So let me go back into my homepage here and just start with this like a homepage where we started to work our way through our main menu, and then we've got a sub menu, and then an action page. And we see those is more like customized to investment management, where, for example, here I can navigate to my list of equities. I can navigate to my list of funds, private equity. So this is what we've been adding to the financial package is anything to do with all those type of financial product, the management of being able to work with loans, being able to work with deposits, being able to work with equities, being able to work with funds, private equity funds, alternative investment funds, cryptocurrency, bonds, preferred shares, structured notes. Those are all the asset class that we've added in an integrated way so that you can do all that management and booking of transactions from within the same package. Okay, so as a standard product, you don't get, for example, an equities management module. So you don't get a private equity management module. That's the LEC stack, if you like, that adds on top of the base product. Let's just take the example of one of them here. I'm not going to go into details of each of those modules, but if we take the example of the equities, I'm investing into equities. So here I can see I've got 72 opened positions. I can drill down into that. I can see the detail of all my open positions. It's showing per portfolio, per type of investments as to the types that we've defined. It's showing my codes, quantities, all the financial details pertaining to the amount, market values. I can do a right click here. I can just say choose column and then select which columns I'm interested in to show on my view. And here you see that I'm only showing like amount in ICY, PC1, FCY. Those are the different currency that we work with. And the amounts, some of those columns are hidden here at this stage. I can do sorts. For example, I can sort by amount ICY. I want to sort by descending orders. I can also do some filtering. For example, bringing up the filter pane. I say I only want to see the positions for which the amount ICY. I'm going to add a filter for which the amount ICY is greater than 100,000, say. And straight away, I can apply some filters, filter my list, and then open that in Excel if I wish to then work from Excel from here. But that's just a filter panel that I can use throughout the system. It's very useful to get to find what you're looking for. So this is the list of equities that we have. And from any positions, so I get to see all the different positions here that I currently have at a given date. I can very easily drill down to the subledgers. For example, here Barclays, I want to find out more about this particular position. I can just drill down, and the system is going to show me all the historical transactions for that stock or for that equities, for that investments, for that security. I can see that I've purchased it on that date, February the 14th. I've purchased 12 shares for an amount of 1,476. That's ICY. So investment currency. Investment is denominated in pound sterling, but my company's is actually denominated in US dollars here, so it's converting into US dollars here. And if I want, so here I can see that the details of the purchase, but if I'm an accountant, I'd probably be interested to see how this got translated into my books, into my general ledger, because you remember we're on an accounting package. So we can expect that the system's done the accounting for us for that purchase. So if we just hit navigate, The system is then opening up all the different ledgers and subledgers for which I've got relating entries for that purchase, and it's telling us that actually for that purchase, the system's booked 4 entries into the GL for us. And that's what the system's done automatically in the background for us when we booked this purchase. It's gone in, created all the general ledger entries for us, and they've been accounted for automatically. That's the first problem that we solve, is to be able to, in the back of all our investment management, whether it's equities, whether it's fixed income, whether it's derivatives, the system creates all our accounting entries for us, for the purchase, for the revaluations, for the sales, for the dividends, for the coupons, for all type of entries. Accrued interest, the system takes care of all the general ledger entries system. Okay, so that's the principle around which all those modules have been designed. If we take a look at private equities here, for example, again, we see the list of all the open private equity positions that we have. We can work our way through the list. We can navigate our way to the different ledger. We can export to Excel. And if we need, we can also book transactions using our set of front, mid, and back office journals. Depending on the organizations, some organizations requires, they have a limited functionality, limited responsibilities for front office, for entering all the trades, and those flows down to the mid office for checking the fees, checking the commissions, checking the cash, and then once it's completed, it goes down to the back office for completions. That's the workflow that we've replicated here through the use of this front office, mid office, and back office journal systems here. So that's how we book everything in. So if I take the example of the equity journals, we can work our way through a journal like this, where we put in the nature of the trades, the investment code, and then the quantities and the amount. Or we also can work very easily with third-party institutions by getting that all into the system in an electronic format. Okay, we can connect to banks and import all the daily trades or the weekly trade, depending, directly into the system, so that all those journals are filled out automatically, and then go through our front mid back office process without having to enter any trades here manually. Okay, so moving on, the last piece I would like to just really briefly show you is the risk and compliance that also comes with the system, which allows us to define compliance rules. So that's something which is defined to help us with the compliance, whereby we can create a rule based on the specific types that is available into the system. So we can create a rule based on the asset allocations or currency exposure, equity market allocations, and setting up all those limits for all the custodians or for all the portfolio that we've defined. And the system will be able to run those rules and tell us whether we're in or out of those rules. Just to help with the compliance and do compliance reporting, that's quite often also part of a treasury management system, the compliance department, which has to be able to guarantee that we are within certain rules. And that goes hand in hand with kind of a facilities that we get from the banks in such case where the companies borrow to invest. They have to can get the facilities from the banks and got to make sure they agree within the certain limits of the facilities. And that's also where these compliance modules can be useful to be able to make sure that we are within the limits of the facilities that we've been given. Okay, so I'm not going to go further here at this stage. I'm just going to go and touch a little bit on the report side, because this is very good in the sense that we can use the system to manage all the different transactions, whether those are general ledger transactions, bank transactions, vendor transactions, customer transactions, or investment transactions with our investments. How do we report from it? What what can we get out of the system to make our life easier, to be able to keep on top of what's happening on our financials and to be able to issue report to all the stakeholders. How can we do that? So first thing is what I've shown you is everywhere we go, whether we go into a bank account list or we can very easily assign a set of filters, export to Excel. Already from the system, there's a great deal of querying and exporting into Excel that we can do. So more like ad hoc way, we can very easily use the system for that purpose. The system comes also with a set of standard reports, whether those are standard statutory report, balance sheets, profit and loss, everything that you'd expect out of a traditional financial system is there. We've also added quite a lot of reports with regards to investment management in many different ways. This is just an example here as a report, just to say on a daily way, on the daily positions, we are in a case where we import the market price and the exchange rate on a daily basis, and we want to see how that impacts our portfolios or net asset values per type of assets and then per each positions. This is just a very basic example as to type of report that we can provide. Equities, here we see the list of all our open positions by equities, and then we see our alternative investments that we have on our portfolio. We have to see and see all the funds we've invested into, looking at number of shares, cost, market values, profit and loss, percentage allocations. We've done many different flavors of this report, but this is just an example again. It's a good start, this report, in a way. We've got everything here listed on that, all the different type of assets, whether those are paper investment or derivatives or treasury. We also have modules into mortgage-backed securities here. Futures, we can see our loans as well, if we have any loans, and deposit and cash, and a total net asset value. Don't pay too much attention to the numbers here because it's just the demo data, so it's not really realistic. So this is just an example of report, and we've done many different flavors, including graphs. But what is more interesting is also in terms of reporting is what we can provide with in terms of analysis. And that's also an area in which we've done a lot of work, including the use of Power BI reports. As you understand, with Microsoft, and we also, again, leveraging here the Microsoft package. And one of them is called Power BI. It's a great package that allows us to do a lot of things in terms of reporting. And for example, we can bring that view here, and we can actually select the report. Sorry, we can go in here and then expand our report and start to go into all the different pages of the report that we've got access here in that particular profile. Here is just an example of like a report where we get to see our allocations. So allocations per year, per type of assets, how we allocated across the range. Here we can see net asset value per year, the evolutions. Again, a bit about performance here. I'm going to come back to that. Industry sector, allocations per industry sector. And if I'm interested into our precious metals or financial industry sector, I can just click to see what is the sections of that throughout this report. And then allocations per currency, how we allocate per currency, in the dollars, currency exposure. Next page is a bit more specific with regards to performance. What I've mentioned earlier is this is an area in which we've done a lot of work to be able to also provide performance, because when we work with investments, first thing we want to do is obviously to be able to report on balances and positions and allocations. That's quite easy. It's fairly easy just to see like industry sector allocations or portfolio allocations or currency allocations, but it's a bit more complex when we want to do the same with regards to performance, because performance, it has to be calculated. We cannot just extract that out of a out of a transactional database. We'll have to get that calculated, pre-calculated, so that it's ready for us to use and to include into the report. And that's what we've done here with what we call our performance BI engine. We've created an engine which calculates performance for us on a daily basis. So it's ready for us to use and to query our performance by any thing we want, whether we want to query performance here, like per year, per portfolio, or per manager. We want to see how managers have performed, and we want to compare them into this view. And we can isolate discrepancies here. The top one is the performance, the 1 year performance, and the bottom one is the since inception's performance. So very quickly, here we get a view across performance throughout our portfolios in an aggregated way throughout the group, not just for one company, throughout the group. And what is very important to understand here, it's performance we're looking at is TWR, time weighted returns. And we're looking at the time weighted TWR. Moving on, just as another example here, before I close, I'm conscious of the time here, I'm probably wrapping up in a minute, but this is another example of how we can show performance. Here we get to see performance more like per region, how we perform per locations, how we've performed per assets throughout all different type of assets that we have in our portfolios, how we've performed on our corporate bonds, how we've performed on our equities, how we've performed on our ETFs. We can slice our performance engine by any of those type of assets that we have on portfolios. And we get to see here on that particular view how we've performed on the 5 years across the x-axis, as opposed to how we've performed for the 5 years. 5 years as opposed to the 1 year performance. Okay? And the magic quadrant, we want to be in that magic quadrant here. And depending on whether it's long-term, short-term strategy, basically it's down to us to define. But this is an example. And again, that's the use of Power BI opens a lot of doors as to what we want to produce in terms of reporting and analytics, whether this is just ad hoc reporting or whether it's reporting that we want to provide through dashboards to stakeholders, beneficiary owners, or even managers to help them with their day-to-day jobs. Okay, so that's been very quick. I've taken you through a lot of different screens. It's been only 40 minutes, so I'm trying to get you an overview. But that's the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to pass the hand over to Ivy to see if there is any questions. Thank you very much.